You put it up and you drive people to that landing page, or you have affiliates drive people and pay them a commission, and you sit back and you collect the money. That's how today it's easier than ever before. Easier than ever before.
This is the Kevin Trudeau Show.
I am exposing the corruption in government and in major multinational corporations. We're telling you the things that they don't want you to know that will make your life better.
All right, how to make $25,000 a month. You want to know that? How to make $25,000 a month without leaving your house in your underwear, working 10 hours a week. All right, so first off, you don't start off working 10 hours a week. If you want to make huge amounts of money, let's say $25,000 a month, working 10 hours a week. If you really want to get to that point, you can't start by working 10 hours a week. You have to work your ass off. Nobody wants to hear it, but this is the way it works. In order to get paid more for what you do, you're going to have to do more than what you're paid. If you want to get a harvest, you have to plant seeds. If you don't walk up to a wood cook stove and say, give me some heat, then I'll put some wood in. You have to put in the wood first before it starts giving you heat. If you want a big, huge harvest, you need to, in the spring, till the soil, a lot of work every day, and you don't get anything for it. Then you have to put the seed in, a lot of work. Then you have to pull the weeds for months, make sure it's watered and fertilized. And you don't even see any results, sometimes for 3 or 4 months. Then you start seeing some results, but you're still out there, you can't eat anything because it hasn't produced any fruit or any yield. And it's only at a certain point where you start getting a harvest. Businesses and making money is the same way. You have to put in a huge amount of effort in the beginning without expecting anything in return for a while until you get off the ground. A plane. That plane is on the ground. And I've been in my private jets and things and commercial airliners, and the pilot will put his foot on the brake. And he's at the end of the runway, and he puts the throttle. And the plane ain't moving because he's getting everything built up. Then he takes the foot off the brake. And the plane starts barreling down the runway. But it starts off going slow. And it picks up speed and picks up speed. And he's full throttle. Flaps on the wing down full. Hopefully he's going into the wind. And after it keeps going faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. Then it begins, and he's full throttle, giving it everything he's got. And then it slowly begins to lift off. And then it lifts off and lifts off. And he's still full throttle. We're not there yet. Full throttle. And when he gets to cruising altitude, guess what he does? He pulls back on the throttle and pushes autopilot. That's how you make money. You have to go full throttle for a long period of time before you get to cruising altitude. But once you get to cruising altitude, then you can pull back on the throttle, which means work less, and you can push the autopilot button, which means you don't have to work that much at all. That's the beautiful thing. And it's interesting because articles are pointing out this to be true because people don't understand this concept today. Bosses are firing Gen Z grads just months after hiring them. Why? Gen Z. What is Gen Z anyway?
It's my generation. I think 2000 and younger. Okay.
Born in 2000 or younger?
I want to say 1995.
1995. So if you were born in 1995 or after that, right? That's Gen Z? Okay, so this is the loser generation. But you're not one of them, Trey. I'm telling you, you're a good worker. So this doesn't apply to you. Gen Z grads are unprepared and unprofessional. These are employers around the world. Today, Gen Z grads lack motivation and initiative. They are unprofessional, unorganized, and have poor communication skills. They are late for work and late for meetings, very often. They don't wear office-appropriate clothing, and they use language inappropriate for the workplace. The big one here is initiative, motivation and initiative. It's just at an all-time low. How do we make money without leaving the house? The answer? Here's the good news. It's easier today than ever before to make money. It's easier today than ever before. You don't need startup cash. You don't need a lot of skills because everything is available online. Everything is available to you. Today is the greatest time in history to get rich. It's easier today to make money than ever before in history. Here's an article, How I Built My Side Hustle, paid off all my student loans, and I'm now rich. It says she started her side hustle on her couch while watching a Real Housewives TV show. She goes on to say that she made $236,000 in revenue last year, more than $26,000 a month, just on Etsy. She works roughly 10 hours a week now, just doing Etsy, and she can do it anywhere in the world. How I built a $2 billion a year super app called Grab. And he goes, how I did it? I worked 20 hours a day. This article goes on to talk about how his app is bringing in over $2 billion a year. But he says, it was very intense. I was probably doing 15, 18, even 20 hours a day, Monday to Sunday. And I wasn't getting paid. The first few years in business were not glamorous by any means. The original office was in a small room, a part of the world notorious for having hot and humid weather, Malaysia. The office didn't have ventilation, no air conditioning, and no Wi-Fi. We had to tether from our mobile phones. In other words, he was willing to do whatever it took. He put in 18 to 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, worked in a small one-room office with no ventilation, no air conditioning, no Wi-Fi, and he didn't get paid for a couple of years. He was putting forth the effort first, trying to get that plane off the runway. And he was making money to pay for stuff by running delivery for effectively a Grubhub. See, most people aren't willing to do that. Successful people are always willing to do what the other guys ain't willing to do. There's a fast food restaurant called Raising Cane. Well, the founder, Todd Graves, is now a billionaire. He has a net worth of $9.5 billion. And he goes on to talk about, if people tell you something can't be done, it makes you strive so much more to do it, unless you're a loser and believe it. Think about that. To raise enough money to open the fast food chain's first location in 1996, Graves moved to California from Baton Rouge to work 90-hour weeks in the oil refinery, and later fished for salmon in Alaska. In other words, he had an idea for a business and said, how am I going to get the money? I know. I'll do the dirtiest job possible, working 90 hours a week in the oil refinery business, and I will save every penny I have and sleep on the floor because I'm saving up money for my business. And then, when that slowed down, I went to Alaska and did that crazy job of fishing for salmon on boats. The point is, successful people are always willing to do what the other guys are not willing to do, and it's putting in the time. So here's how you make money. There are 3 skills you need to know. The first one is communication skills. If you don't know how to communicate, which the article pointed out that Gen Z people don't know how to do, you're not going to succeed in business, because in order to succeed in online businesses, you have to be able to communicate, get your point across to the people that are either reading your material online or listening to your audio online or watching your video online. Communication is an art and a science. So I am known as one of the greatest communicators of all time, and I appreciate that. By the way, I am now changing my hat. I'm marketing genius. I should be something else. Do I have something else here? I am also the infomercial king. in case you don't know. So I'm going to have both of them here. All right, let me get rid of that. All right, so I got two. You're not going to see them, but I got them right there. There we go. All right. This is just for fun. All right, so I'm going to give you an example of communication skills. So let's show the first clip, Trey, of communication. Take a look at this, and then I'm going to explain it.
We also work with actors who need to remember lines verbatim. I had a letter from a fellow who called up and said, hey, I get now virtually every single job I go on. He's an actor in Los Angeles does commercials. He says, because what I do is when I go into the set, they give me the script, and while everyone else has to read teleprompters or cue cards, I take 10 minutes and commit it to memory. Now, I can go and use no notes whatsoever. I can emphasize my facial expressions and voice inflection and so forth. He goes, they're impressed. And, of course, I also remember everyone's name, which makes them like me, too.
Okay, so that's a clip of me on an interview talking about the Mega Memory Home Study course and the benefits of having a powerful memory. And what I did there is communicate. So I want you to notice some of the things in there. Notice the facial expressions. Notice the voice inflection. Notice the hand gestures. The pauses. And then you're going to notice something else. Let me show you another clip from that interview, and then we'll start discussing them.
Tell you a story. I just got a letter recently from a teacher that took an entire 7th grade class at the beginning of last school year. They put them through the mega memory system at the beginning of the school year. Just took a couple days. At the end of the school year, they had a big problem on their hands. 8 months ahead of their school curriculum. A lowest grade point average, A-. They tested the vocabulary levels of these 7th graders, Andy. They were found to be that of sophomores in college because they could remember all the words and definitions. I can't wait till these kids take their SATs. You know, it's going to be a major advantage. Sure. They were 3 years ahead in Spanish because they can remember all the conjugations, the words, and so forth. That's, foreign languages are virtually all memory. But more importantly than anything, the absentee rate, they told me, was virtually 0 because the children love to go to school. I can imagine them in school. It's like, teacher, don't forget that test. I studied for 5 minutes last night.
By the way, who was that young guy on there? Does anybody know who that guy is? All right, so now I'm showing you the art and science of communicating. I'm going to explain some of the things. See if you can pick up what I'm doing. Let's show the next clip.
Television talk show most people were familiar with and they've seen me on. And one of the demonstrations I did, Andy, was I met the audience before the program. There was over 150 people. And I remembered everyone's name, first and last name. And when I came off the air, everybody was impressed. Ed grabbed me and said, well, sure, Kevin, you know, you could do that. You're the founder of the Institute, but no one else could. I says, no, Ed, anyone can do this, and I'll prove it to you. Out of tonight's audience, you give me a student, age 10, 11, or 12. Give me a business professional, someone in their 30s or 40s, and get someone in their 60s. I'll have them go through the Mega Memory Home Study course this week on their own. Next week, invite the 4 of us back on the show, and I'll have my brand new graduates do that exact same demonstration. Well, heck, it was a great way to get back on the program, right? Which worked. But it was so exciting the next week to see a 67-year-old woman, by memory, rattle off over 50 people's first and last names that she met just about an hour before the program. Man, they were all blown away. They said, wow, how did you remember those people's names? And her answer was, I don't know. She said, I just remembered. And we all had a good chuckle. She goes, I can't wait for my bridge club. But that was the point. I said, she turned to me, she goes, what did you do to my memory? And I said, well, we just exercised the instant recall ability you had and released it, and now you got it forever.
This is the art of communication. You could call it the art of selling, but really it's not selling, it's communicating. As a matter of fact, all communication is selling, and all selling is communication. If you're talking to your kids, you're trying to sell them on an idea, you're communicating. Every form of communication is effectively a form of getting somebody to buy in or agreeing with what you're saying, to build affinity with them. A sale is always made in communication. Let's show the next clip.
Let me give you a quick story. When I was in New York City, I was doing a radio talk show. It was a call-in show. And the fellow called up and he says, hey, Kevin, I'm so happy to talk to you live. I saw you on TV about 8 months ago. I got your Mega Memory course, and it was the best investment I ever made for my career. I said, well, why is that? He said, well, you see, I was applying for a job on Wall Street, a job I really wanted. He said, the problem was 500 other people were also applying for the same job. He said, so in order to set myself apart, what I did was I committed to memory every single person's name in the firm. There were over 50 people that I met over a 5-day interview process. And he goes, the great thing is every time I'd go back in the next day and I saw the people that I met the day before, I'd call them by name. I'd say, hey, John Cincotti, good to see you. Franklin Militello, good to see you. Grace Weiner, nice to see you. They were blown away. He said, but the second thing I did was I committed to memory all 1,500 of the New York Stock Exchange companies and stock symbols. And I told him I had this great memory, and I showed them. He goes, man, I was like a freak show. They say, hey, Charlie, you got to come in here and check this guy out. He goes, obviously, I was the only guy they talked about. I got the job. I got 3 promotions since then. He says, now I can go into meetings without paper, without notes. I can make presentations without notes. I remember the memos. I remember all the facts and information, the telephone numbers. He goes, they call me the walking computer. And the best thing, he says, Andy, because I have this great memory, everyone thinks I'm smart. And he was kidding me, and he goes, and I don't know if it's true.
One more clip, and then I'm going to explain. You are watching the art and science of communication. Remember, the Mega Memory Home Study course sold over $450 million worth of courses. And there were almost a dozen people that tried to sell a memory improvement course similar to mine. Harry Lorraine, Dave Caulfield, there were many people. Billy Burden, Arthur Bornstein, Dr. Mark Duffner, they all went on TV to try to sell courses on how to improve their memory. I sold $450 million. We were selling the exact same product to the same customers. Why did mine work and theirs not? I'm going to give you the answer right after you watch this clip. Take a look. See if you can figure it out.
I had a fellow call me up. He said he had this problem, ADD. He was flunking calculus. He called me up. I was doing a show in Cleveland. He says, Kevin, I'm getting a straight F in calculus because I can't remember the equations. They told me I have attention deficit, so I can't concentrate. He said, but I just got your course, and I'm so excited because in lesson 7, I teach them how to commit an equation to memory, a calculus equation to memory in 30 seconds. He goes, man, I have a test tomorrow. If I study tonight and remember these equations, I have 20 of them, I'll get an A. I said, great, call me at my home tomorrow and let me know how you did. Called me the next day. He says, well, I got good news and bad news. He goes, the good news is I got a 100% on my calculus equation exam. I go, man, that's terrific. He goes, well, I go, what's the bad news? He goes, the bad news is the teacher won't accept the test. She figures I must have cheated to get this A. I said, oh, no, what are you going to have to do now? He said, I got to take it Friday in the principal's office. Now, here's the best part, Andy. I said, how are you going to do Friday? He says, Kevin, I can't forget these equations even if I try.
Okay, so let me give you the secret, one of the secrets, because there are more, but one secret to effective communication. Facts tell, stories sell. Did you notice in all of those clips, and by the way, did you notice there was there were 6 clips, and you notice I told 6 stories? Each story made a point. Facts tell, stories sell. I'll give you another secret, and that is time. The first story took 31 seconds, the next one 50 seconds, the next one a minute and 15 seconds, a minute and 20 seconds, 58 seconds, and a minute and 5 seconds. Not 2 minutes, not 3 minutes, not 4 minutes, not 5 minutes. Concise, brevity. In communicating, whether it's verbal or in marketing, especially in verbal, you talk too much. You don't know how to tell a story. There's an art of storytelling. But one of the arts is you have a start and a finish. And it's right around a minute. That's the sweet spot. Because that's what the advertising time is on TV and radio, 30 seconds to 90 seconds. Between a half a minute and a minute and a half. That's the sweet spot. Think about it. Facts tell, stories. So you have to know how to communicate. Get your message across. Be engaged. Secondly, in order to make money online, you have to have an idea of copywriting and basic marketing. So for example, if you're going to sell something online, you may have words that people are going to read, which is going to help sell your product or service. You have to know how to do the copywriting. Now, I'm been regarded as one of the top copywriters in the world. And the guys today that are regarded as the top copywriters today have done billions and billions of dollars worth of sales. And I've talked to about a dozen of them on the phone. And I said, how many, the copywriting that you've done, how much has that generated in revenue? Oh, $1.5 billion. Another guy, 500 million. Another guy, 700 million. Because they don't just write copy for themselves. They write for other people, and they get a piece of the action, and they get paid. And they all said to me, but Kevin, we learned most of what we do from you. We used to watch you on TV. We read all of your direct mail pieces, and even though you didn't teach courses on it, we dissected what you did. So in terms of copywriting, there's an art and a skill to copywriting. At the end of the day, it's very hard to teach someone how to do that. One of the guys who said that he learned a lot from me, and he's brilliant on his own, and he's spectacular. He put together an AI system with everything that he knows and everything he learned from me and many others, so that the AI writes the copy for you. All you have to do is just basically answer some questions. And I said, it can't write good copy. And he says, Kevin, I've tested this. I've had some of the top copywriters write copy for products, and then I had my system write copy, and we would do A/B testing. He goes, Kevin, mine is doing as good as theirs, and in some cases better. This is a game changer, because now any one of you can sit there and just punch in and answer the questions and get world-class copy, as if you were paying me $100,000 to do it. And if you want to pay me $100,000 to write your copy, I will, if I can squeeze it in. And I say that sincerely, because that's what people pay me. They're willing to call up and say, Kevin, will you write some copy for me? Yes, I want a fee up front, plus I want a percentage of the sales. I don't have a lot of time to do that, so I have to make choices in terms of, the amount of hours it would take to do that versus putting it into the fan club and putting it into the Global Information Network or writing one of my future books. There's only so much time. But I certainly could do that, but you don't need me now. You can use that system. Also, there's an art of photography. When you go online and see websites and they have pictures of product, most people have no idea of sacred geometry and how to position a product properly to have the biggest bang for the buck and the biggest impact. I see this a lot in real estate. I'll go on Zillow or Realtor.com and I'll look at a house and I'm thinking, who took the pictures? Okay, who picked the pictures? You're telling me the realtor allowed these pictures to be put up? And then who wrote the copy trying to sell the house? It's horrible because they don't know marketing. They don't know the skill. If they just changed those two things, if they just learned how to write some copy and how to take better pictures, they would improve their income 2-3 times. Guaranteed it. And I've seen it. Had a guy I was talking to in Beverly Hills, California, Josh Altman. Josh Altman is a fantastic guy. He is a driven, motivated superstar. He is a winner. He is a great guy, and he is a world-class realtor. His company, with his brother, does, I think, over $1.5 billion in real estate sales every year. They started with nothing 20 years ago. This guy is a winner. And I asked him, why? And we talked about it. And it's drive, it's motivation, it's inspiration, it's technique, it's skill. It's always learning, always bettering yourself. It's making a decision that I'm going to get it done. That's it, period. But what happens in the real estate business sometimes is I'm trying to sell a home and I hire a realtor, and that realtor takes pictures of the house. They put it on Realtor.com. They make up flyers. They send it out to the other real estate agents. They have an open house, and they try to sell the house. And 6 months later, it doesn't sell. My contract with the realtor is up, and I say I'm going to try somebody else. And then I go to Josh Altman. And Josh Altman takes it over and in 1 week sells the house. How is that possible? He's selling it to the same customer. What he does is he takes different pictures. He has an eye for the pictures that are going to motivate and inspire. Number 2, he stages the house differently, which means if it has no furniture in it, he says, I want to paint the walls this way, I'm going to do this and that. and he makes it look much more appealing. Next, the way he writes the description of the house is way different. And then when a person comes in, how he presents the house is much different. Instead of saying, let me show you the living room, this is the kitchen, this is the master bedroom, he'll say things like, where are you from? Really? What type of work do you do? Oh, where are you living now? What's motivating you to come into this area? The other idiot realtor is saying, this is the living room, notice the carpet, notice the walls. It also has a ceiling. Like, no kidding. Why don't you ask a question about me, build some affinity, so they understand that art. So copywriting and photographs are the next thing you need to learn. And the third thing is, where online are you going to make your money? You can make money on Etsy. You can make money on Amazon. Those are just two. There's a bunch more. You can put together landing pages, which means you find a product that it has mass appeal, develop a landing page by getting the copy written, develop a video sales letter, which is all done mechanically now. You don't have to do anything. You put it up and you drive people to that landing page, or you have affiliates drive people and pay them a commission, and you sit back and you collect the money. That's how today it's easier than ever before. Easier than ever before.
Hi, I'm Kevin Trudeau. This is everything they don't want you to know about to improve the quality of your life. Broadcasting every Monday and Wednesday, 2 days a week now. Monday and Wednesday at 1 o'clock Chicago time. Make sure you tune in and subscribe to the channel and